Okay, hey guys, it's been a while. We're back here together in Germany, so we thought a lot has happened, a lot is happening. Why not catch you guys and girls up and let you know what's going on behind the scenes. And also today we especially want to talk a little bit about where we're moving to. So not just hey, what's happening right now, but maybe a bigger vision. Future goals and all of that. So the first thing I wanted to say, and I realized that a couple of days ago, was that I'm super proud of what we're building currently. I wrote it in our chat, our internal chat, because I showed some old gamer friends of mine who I was always super afraid of showing anything Web3 related. I was like, oh no, they can't know about crypto. They can't know that I'm doing anything here. But I showed them it the first time. And I was super proud, like especially with Expeditions now and our own marketplace and everything. It's awesome what we have built. I'm super proud of the team. Everybody's putting in so much effort, so much love, so much attention to detail. Just all around, super blessed to have a team like that. And I wanted to emphasize that firstly, because I really realized that, especially last week. But yeah.
And we want to spend some time today because the things we're proud of, it's very hard for you guys to see that because a lot of it's happening behind the scenes, and it's a mixture between kind of setting the future scene for Evrloot and us as a team, but also from the content side there is a lot happening. And what you see is the events that we're doing, like the Pink event, which was very successful, but there is so much more. And as you noticed, we even had a hard time like kind of catching up with the kind of bi-weekly journals and stuff like that, because stuff happens so quickly and it's sometimes so hard to just explain it in a tweet or even in a thread. So we're going to take some time to relax, take some headphones and listen into some updates.
But I mean, to be honest, at least I think it's way nicer to not have to think about, okay, what do we tell the community now, what's going on behind the scenes, than actually being able to launch something like the Pink event, where it's like, hey, you don't have to think about, hey, well, what can we show, what can we not show, but actually deliver something and have the people give you like great feedback about it. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but the engagement has been through the roof, especially for us. We've gained hundreds of followers, which I guess was pretty unheard of, at least for us. We're just super happy with how all of you guys are engaging with it as well. It got perceived really, really well, and we're super proud of it. And Polkadot is pink, and Evrloot is pink as well. So
no question
with that. We wanted to talk a little bit about what's coming next for us, like in the really near future. We've teasered it a lot. It has been under development for over a year at this point, with some breaks in between, obviously, because other stuff had to be done. But Expedition is coming, so I'm not sure if you guys are just release it, don't even talk about it anymore. But we're super excited about it. A lot of work has been put into it, a lot of thought, and not just into this, but also into the future of it. So we want to set ourselves up for something that's gonna be great within a year as well, that we can build on top of. It's really important for us to build something that has a solid base and that we can then iterate on quickly and often, because we have seen it with everything we have delivered up until now. Where the product really gets great is when you have a solid base, take in the feedback of the community, and then iterate over it and actually make it better all the time.
So let's talk about what Expedition is very briefly. Most of you know it already, but you will hear some details about this which you haven't heard anywhere. So right now you're experiencing Evrloot mainly from kind of the strategic resource and crafting angle, which will still be an important part of Evrloot. But the thing that Lou said about like showing Evrloot to his gamer friends, and now he's even proud of doing it, is because even though for Web 2 or Web 3 standards we have been considered as a game, we didn't feel like a full game yet because there was kind of a gameplay loop missing. And this is what we want to add with Expeditions. This isn't, the first version won't be this perfect loop that creates super addictive gameplay loops, but it's a first start that takes your NFTs and gives kind of all the metadata some meaning. It will be kind of the ends that ties the metadata that we have and the progression loops towards something that progresses the game forward and always gives you a goal for it, right? So the fighting thing will be the ultimate thing you're optimizing for, also for the marketplace and the trading loop. And that's why Expedition is so important for us, because all of the things you do, or most of the things you'll do outside kind of, unless you're a kind of a hardcore trader who wants to out-trade the market, like in World of Warcraft, there were some personas that did that, me included. But the main gameplay loop will revolve around that and the progression within that.
I think our main goal with it is to kind of tie everything together. Like we've built these awesome characters that have all these metadata, like Deckard said. And then we have built all these awesome items and resources. Like if you guys just look at the amount of resources we have now, like there's so much stuff now, and we want to take everything, take the loose ends, and tie them together in something.
And we also noticed, and that's a quick excursion, we also noticed that once we started Evrloot, and you all know kind of we did some experimenting. We started with this collection, and then we started the Kraken mission, and then we started the first points of interest and stuff like this. And we are more and more thinking of of focusing on the main gameplay loop, and for us also the points of interest in itself, they will have a subordinate meaning to the game in comparison to what they have now. So kind of the resource loops on the map, like you will have them, like expanding the map, going to the marketplace, they will still be here, but it's not like anymore this point and click adventure. It will be much more focused kind of on these dungeon runs. And
maybe I think it's a good point we haven't explained for people that don't know what Expedition actually is. It's like a dungeon-like, roguelike game mechanic where you go into a dungeon with your character, and you meet monsters, you try to gather loot, you try, at least in this first iteration, small teaser maybe, you try to get to the end room and fight some global boss there. But we want it to be eventually way more than that as well, like even approaching stuff like PvP, going in with your friends as well, so you against local or global enemies. But yeah,
I mean, we have the perfect base for that, right? We have the NFTs, we have equipables, and we have everything that an RPG needs, and now we need to tie this in the system. We had the Discord Battler, which was a kind of a first sneak peek, and now we're having this kind of a PvE thing. So as Lou said, we're going to move through rooms. At the first iteration, which will be launched in April, will be a auto battler. So that means that you guys are going to fight against the enemies, and the fights are going to happen automatically. And that is and the potions that you have, they give some amount of tactic depth, like how do you use the potions, what equipment do you use, and so on. But obviously this is just a first stage. So you can imagine like creating something like an expedition like this is already quite an endeavor, especially for a team that hasn't done that before. This framework is now set up, so the next step for us will be to expand on that. So Expeditions isn't like, for example, the Botanist Workshop was for us, where it's a small feature on the side, but is something where we really go deep in. We want abilities in there. We want depth in there. We want meaningful choice in there, and that's something we're going to optimize. So I really want to see go to a point where I want to see an alchemist with an off-meta strategy that focuses on strength instead of wisdom, because a certain ability scales with strength, and some find out that there is this off-meta build, and so they're trying to kind of beat the meta of the wisdom alchemist and go through the expedition. That's what I want to achieve, and that's what I want you guys to be able to do. So find cool builds, make decisions that distinguish your playstyle from the playstyle of someone else, craft stuff that only you can craft because you found a recipe which others don't have, trade on the market, supply the market with stuff that only you can supply to, and have just a vibrant ecosystem of evolving lore and evolving expeditions. And that's what we will wrap the whole game around. And that's what will be kind of also completing the gameplay loop. What completing doesn't mean that this ends. Completing means that this is the core gameplay loop. over which we're going to build a content.
Yeah, and I think you already see we've put a lot of thought into it. That's why it took us so long as well. And what's really important for us, and I think where we distinguish us a little bit maybe, is we're not going out and building a Hades, building a Binding of Isaac, and then thinking about, okay, how can we bring NFTs into this now? This is not our approach. Our approach is we have this awesome community that appreciates their characters, all the traits they have. They appreciate kind of the crypto native way we have been going on for really long, and now we want to expand into the Web 2 space. Like we don't just want to stay in the Web 3 space, but we also don't want to create this Web 2 game that kind of somehow squeezes some NFTs into it, but we want to organically grow from like this crypto native game to something that attracts more people like my friends, where you show it to them and they're like, oh wow, that's really cool, and then maybe after 5 minutes you're like, oh, by the way, that's an NFT and that's on the blockchain, but it needs to be native, it needs to feel native, and you have to strive to combine the two worlds rather than staying in the one or staying in the other. I think it's really important for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a little bit on where Expedition moves towards. I'm super hyped about it.
Yes, and I think the spirit we have is also catching on to the Scythe Accelerator. So I think we're doing good progress in there.
Yeah, for those of you maybe that didn't know, we are part of the Skytail Mythical Accelerator. I think everybody has heard of Mythical at this point, probably. They're like basically the biggest blockchain game there is, with NFL Rivals being like their
dominating the NFT trade charts.
Exactly, and they have like a market as well, D-Market it's called, where all the trading is going on. They have huge volumes and they're moving to Polkadot. So that's really exciting. And Skytail, there's like a VC firm. They started an academy with them because they're really deep into like all the gaming ecosystems as well.
And Polkadot.
Exactly, and we are part of them. And maybe you didn't notice us immediately because we're not in there as Evrloot. We're in there as Chain Food. So we quickly wanted to go into what that means as well. I guess a lot of people already realized, hey, there needs to be some sort of company behind this whole thing, and the company is called Chain Food. Evrloot is basically one game of our game studio, but we kind of wanted to talk with you guys about what that means, us being a game studio, us not just being Evrloot, but maybe more. So yeah, I think it's super exciting because we kind of naturally grew to that kind of thinking as well. We debated a lot with different people, and we kind of realized, hey, we are not the best game developers in the world. We're not the most technical people. We're not the people with the greatest ideas for the most innovative new games or something. But what we're really good at, and what has been perceived really well, is kind of us building this community out, kind of building up our reputation, showing that we're delivering over and over again,
bootstrapping a team through that, and so on. And that's why that's why we want to take you a bit on the journey. What does game studio mean, and why this is also a good thing for Evrloot, because we see Evrloot as kind of the flagship product that is in the middle, kind of the spider in the web. But we see other experiences around that, and us as a game studio company to be the aggregator around that. So that means that we technically and not technically, we will launch experiences across maybe in other chains as well, maybe even in other ecosystems. But our goal is not to have to just have something run here and here, but to tie that together to one experience and to tie it together to communities. Yeah. And why is that? Because we feel that there are so many bubbles going on right now, from Avalanche, Starknet, Polygon, Multiverse, whatever it is, right? Everyone lives in their bubble, and we want to, from a meaningful way, we want to fascinate people with the stuff we can build, and we have some really cool stuff in the drawer already, to get the people in the ecosystem and enrich them, and kind of also use that to onboard players to Evrloot. So Evrloot will stay the flagship experience, and but there has to be meaningful ways to kind of breach over to other Web3 communities. Yeah,
I think Decker said it really nicely. You have these bubbles. I mean, everybody who's using Twitter knows, rarely you see a tweet from another blockchain. You're like, oh wait, there are other blockchains as well. I've only seen stuff about Polkadot for 2 weeks. But basically, you have those bubbles at the core. I mean, what we're trying to be is we want to lay on top of that. We want to be the layer that combines the community with the ethos of, hey, there are games that are fun. There's a community that is really engaged and really fun as well.
But without being a platform, and that's important for us because we see a lot of people who try to be a platform, and then sometimes it works, but it's very capital and very like personal intense.
We want to be a community.
We want to be a community, and we want to aggregate through experiences, not through infrastructure, and that's very important to us.
Don't worry. We don't want to be the next Steam. We don't want to be the next Epic Games. That's a whole other endeavor, and there's meaning in that, and that's fine and everything, but we want to build the experience, and then we want to cater towards the community. And what I think we are really good at is kind of understanding like where the narrative kind of shifts towards. I mean, you've seen it with Pink. Some may say it was luck. I think we kind of understand that there's a narrative behind things, and that's going on over a lot of different blockchains, and if you are kind of able to tap into that, you're gonna go with the current flow. And ultimately, hopefully convert some of those people into your own community. So that's what we're ultimately trying to be, and create this big community with people that are from the Web 2 world, are from the Web 3 world, but they all unite under like this feeling of community, and also this feeling of, hey, there are games that are fun and that are engaging.
Yeah. So let's talk about now that you have a rough view what chain food is, and that Evrloot isn't just one child that will be soon deserted, but it is the core experience and around which we will build it. Let's talk about where we're going and how what's the vision that we're going towards, and what are the steps we're taking towards, and what role, for example, also something like the Mythical and Societal Accelerator play into the strategy of ours, because as you can imagine, if you do something like this and you make it and you're more and more serious, I mean, we've doing that for 2 years now, but actually like I've been jumping full time like just 6 months ago, but there are some serious questions involved. So how do we pay salaries, not just for me, but also for the people who sit like now behind the camera? How do we do this? And that is something where on one side we're all happy that also the sentiment on the market catches up a little, but also stuff like this, the Mythical Societal Accelerator definitely help, because they come at a perfect time where we as a company can use people that invest in very risky ventures, like every startup at their start, which also we are, to have a part of the cake later on. And that's a specific point where we are kind of in our history, and we see a lot of interest towards us, which is something that's really, I don't know, something I'm really grateful waking up to know that
for sure
it is, people are really interested.
I think that's something I wanted to touch on, like right from the get-go. I think we are in this privileged position because we have positioned ourselves there by constantly catching up with people, by constantly networking, that we have a really good reputation in the space. I think you're going to find very little, I hope no one, who speaks badly about us, because we are really trying hard to be as professional as we can be, to be as collaborative as we can be, like really lifting up the whole ecosystem. And this really pays off now, in a sense that we can kind of choose who to work with. And for us, a year ago, it was like this spooky thought of, a VC is just gonna eat up our souls. But we're now at a stage where we're like, hey, with some funding, which can be ethical, we would be able to take this team we currently have and kind of live the dream of being game developers. Like we have a vision we want to move towards in a year or two, where we are 100% self-sustained. But getting there is the difficult part, right? Yeah. And we have done a lot of that getting there already for, like Deckard said, the last 2 years. But we just see the opportunity in doing it faster. And I think you guys know, everybody that's been in here for longer, we don't just want to sell you the next collection and then fund for, 2 or 3 more months while draining your wallets. That's not what we want to do. We want to make it sustainable. We want to grow to a size where you have players being happy about contributing to making this game work. So that's kind of where we're coming from, and also where we're trying to get to. So we are in this privileged position where we have a really good reputation. We hopefully make this work. That's going to be a couple of tough months for us. But the cool thing about that as well, like the next 1, 2, maybe 3 months are going to be really hardcore. But at the same time, we have some insane launches coming up. So we talked about expeditions, but we also have the marketplace coming. It got a complete redesign, and at least I think it's so innovative. Like we haven't done a lot of, I guess, really innovative stuff, but I'm a huge fan of the marketplace, and also for the launch, we're gonna have some cool events as well. We teased some stuff with Pink as well. Maybe the Great Escape is gonna be involved as well. So while we are kind of in this position of trying to grow this thing and be sustainable and have all that awesome team members we currently have be able to join full time, we still have stuff like lined up and stacked, because we are now at this point where it is a really smoothly running machine where we're super happy about. It still needs us, obviously. It's not like we could go away for half a year and everything would still run perfectly. But we have this team that puts in so much work, and all of them, like, I feel like we have never, and it would be interesting in your opinion as well, I feel like as a team, we have never aligned on the vision as much as we currently do. And I feel like it's a driving factor and a driving force for everybody. And I feel like you can really see and feel that by the speed we're implementing stuff, by kind of, while maybe a couple of months ago we kind of had to push into a certain direction, everybody now knows, like, there's the end goal. We need to go there. There's like a right turn we have to take now. There's a left turn. Everybody kind of aligns on it, and it makes me super proud.
Yeah, it's definitely true. No, I see it the same way. But I think like also the questions that come from the team, like for example, tying that together, because I want to kind of tie the investment part and so on. Team asks, so hey, why do we even need investment? Why do we do this? And you touched on it, like, hey, we want to do it faster. So just a few sentences on that, because the team had the same questions maybe that you guys have. And this breaching, like you said, the vision is really to breach into more players, and not just on your backs, not just on your kind of hard-earned money in your wallets to drain you so that we can pay the next marketing campaign. But we want to really make this something where we can speed up the process, where we can breach into something where we also have kind of bigger money behind us and can go bigger steps. And one of the bigger steps is employ the first people outside of kind of the core, kind of the people that are here with from the very first time. So for example, we have Larissa in the team, and other ones that they are absolute assets, but obviously you need salary to pay these people, and that's what's very hard to do operationally with a base like we have now, and we want you to enjoy it, and we see you as kind of the OGs that enjoy the game. And so the next step is really get a lot of people in, and we have a vision of having 5,000 daily active players. That is a lot, but we wanna grow to something like this.
Oh, we want to grow to even more, I think.
Yes, but kind of that's a one milestone step where we really say there is a bustling marketplace going on where people really trade awesome stuff. You in front of you listening, you have a drop of extremely legendary helmet, and you think about, oh, I could learn this recipe and supply the market. I'm the only supplier of these legendary helmets, and I buy up the resources for it and make a lot of money from just selling this helmet because I have the recipe, or I sell the recipe. I'm not sure what's the better deal. And I want you guys to be at this position where you really dive deep into the economics and B, also the lore, and that is something where, as you said, like we're aligned with that, where it really comes together. Because with someone like Peenan, who's really deep into lore kind of stuff, deep into like global progression and cool mechanics and this side, and on the other side, like you and me really enjoying like economic simulations and making a market that works. So the vision is really something like a bustling ecosystem of a game that has global progression, where stuff is ongoing. A building is burning down in Trakan, and you guys have to supply it with water. This kind of storytelling where you do it or you don't do it, and it involves and this is kind of what we all have as a vision in the team, and it's the same thing, and that's where we're really like happy to strive and go towards.
I think one thing I wanted to touch quickly on as well is I think we would get there eventually. I think we would get there within a year, within 2 years, maybe. Slowly, but definitely progressively. I'm completely sure we would get there. But one thing I think that's like not seen so much, especially in the Web3 space, because everything is moving so fast, is that it takes a lot of resource, right? It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of, like, especially if you need to work full time on the side, it takes a lot of like hobby, a lot of free time in general. So it's also really unsustainable to build something in the speed we're trying to go at on the side. And that's what we did basically for a year and a half before we went full time. And I think you can already see now, especially with this stacked lineup we have, how much faster, how much better we're also progressing. Like the difference is huge for me. Simply that like
you have
resources,
to see the redesign of the marketplace to understand what Glue means. Yeah,
the resources we can put into this now are at a completely different level, and you will feel that. And I think that was like a big step for us, where we were like, hey, we could do this on the side for another 2 years, sacrifice all our free time, sacrifice all the hobbies we have, and eventually get there. But man, if we had the resources, if we had the time for it, this would be, for one, so much better, and also so much faster. So it's like, it's a trade-off, right? Where we could sacrifice our lives for the next 2 years and eventually get there, but then we also may miss the narrative completely, right? Like you can't just go forever.
And the thing is, we have to do some trade-offs where, like with some capital in the background, you don't have to. So for example, we see mobile as a big thing coming up. But for mobile, we're currently completely in React, and
you can't just make that happen on the side.
You can't just make that happen on the side. I mean, it's big user UI redesigns. It's a completely different UX, but also it makes sense to do it then in a game engine like Unity. And we're talking, for example, with companies about like porting the game over to Unity. So that we have the future capabilities to do so. But something like that, if you do it on the side, and if you like naturally grow into all of that, Lou and me would have to learn it on the side, which would be super unsustainable for anything else, right? And we already see how the whole company building takes a lot of resources from us. So that is where there were investment and help from the outside can really help boost a project like us.
Yeah, ultimately we want to be there for you guys as much as we possibly can, and I can guarantee you, at least I've been working as much as I've never been before in my life, just simply because of the vision that is so clear in my head, and all the positive and great feedback we get from people like Rain, people like Andrea, from Zico, from Moonbeam. Like everybody is kind of reassuring us that we're on the right track. So it's been super motivating, and I think we're definitely getting there.
And the cool thing is, we don't have to explain to people anymore that we're not kind of in to be the next big millionaires who drive around in Lambos.
I think we showed that. Yeah,
I think we showed them that is the thing that we want to do for the rest of our lives, kind of, and that's the thing that we want to like. Obviously, no one would get hurt if we would earn good money with it, right? But that's it's about the fun that we're having, and I think this will translate it to success.
I think for us, like, our ultimate goal is to make this big, and if we are able to make this big, not only we are hopefully going to make money, but also especially you guys who have been here from the beginning. So this is kind of like a vision for all of us, right? And ultimately, we think the vision is really clear, and for us to get there, we now need to push through this. But yeah, I'm confident. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I haven't been that excited for a really long time. It's so much new input from everywhere, so much stuff to learn, so many ideas that shoot up constantly. It's just an exciting time, man. And I'm happy to be here for the ride. So, yeah.
Perfect. Cool. So let's keep it at below 30 minutes. Thanks, guys, for listening in.
Yeah, thanks.
If you enjoy this, always tell us. We're sometimes a bit late with giving you some news, but we also enjoy this kind of format. And once we sit down, there is no scripting. It's just us talking. We have some bullet points here, but basically, it just flows, and we like that. So, give us some comments around that. And thanks for listening in, and thanks for being a part of this awesome journey. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here, and we're going to take you on the rocket to the moon.
I mean, imagine where we are in 2 years from now. And we're looking back at this, and there's like a compilation of like, what? That's us a year ago.
What, you were drinking German Spezi, not only champagne?
It's going to be exciting. So thanks for being on the ride with us, and we couldn't be more excited and happy to be here. So thank you, guys.